There was a collision on the approach in the 3-3. We're going to be shutting down operations for the indefinite future. If you want to go back to the gate, highly suggest you guys coordinate with the company. Let me know what you want to do.
And with that, we begin with breaking news right now on the WHAS11 night team. Hello, everybody. I'm Doug Prophet. Tragedy in the night sky tonight in the nation's capital involving a commercial airlines jet. An American Airlines regional jet with at least 60 people on board has collided with a military helicopter over the icy Potomac River in Washington, D.C. We want to take live pictures now. The crash happened just before 9 tonight, and you are looking at live video coming from the huge search and rescue effort in the river. D.C. fire boats have been in the water now for more than 2 hours. You can see all the emergency lights flashing there. That is on the shoreline. You see right forward of that, just in front of those flashing lights, that's the Potomac River. The American Airlines smaller regional jet was coming in from Wichita, Kansas to Reagan National Airport. That's when it collided in midair with the U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter and then into the river. Many fatalities are feared tonight. ABC News moments ago confirming through sources 60 passengers and 4 crew members on board the American Airlines flight, also a 3-person crew on board the Black Hawk helicopter. Now I'm joined live now on the phone by WHAS 11's aviation expert Reed Yaden, who has been following this closely tonight. Reed's a longtime pilot. And Reed, can you tell us about this flight from Wichita? And a question I have for you, that specific small regional jet, doesn't this same style of aircraft fly out of Louisville?
Indeed, it does. It's a Canada Air regional jet manufactured by Canada Air, since acquired by Mitsubishi. But we do fly those aircraft out of Louisville. They're twin-engine. They call them narrow-body jets. This particular one that crashed tonight in the Potomac River there was a CRJ, stands for Canada Air Regional Jet 700. It apparently had around 60 passengers and 4 crew, but it can carry up to 78. The aircraft, this particular aircraft is the longer range version of an earlier CJR or CRJ 200, which you may remember had 1 row of seats and then 2 rows of seats. This one has 2 rows on either side, but it is a narrow body. Here's what we know. It left Wichita tonight at 5:22 Central Standard Time en route for the airport there. Crashed just short of the airport in Washington. 8:48 was its arrival time when it was scheduled to arrive in D.C. I believe it was running a little bit early tonight when it was on approach. If you've flown into D.C., then you've flown in this approach many times over the river there. That's the reason the aircraft had the collision. It was on short final. It was a collision, and both aircraft apparently went into the river.
Well, Reed,
the other aircraft involved, Doug, was a Sikorsky-manufactured Army UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter. It's a utility helicopter, twin-engine helicopter. You see them around our area a lot at Bowman, at Louisville International. You see them at in the air show, Thunder over Louisville, and you see them at Fort Knox. It's a utility helicopter used by the Army. Tonight, it had 3 people on board.
This, of course, Reed,
some safety records.
This, of course, Reed, a tragedy for our country. When's the last commercial airlines flight that we had a crash, a fatal crash of this size?
Well, you go back, and it would be the Kogan Air crash in 2009, February 12th of 2009. Kogan Air crash. It was en route to Buffalo, crashed short of Buffalo after the aircraft stalled. 50 people died in that one. And before that, you go to 2006, August 27th, and that was the Con Air crash in Lexington that took 49 lives.
Is it common for helicopters to be flying in this airspace so close to Reagan National?
It's a highly restricted airspace. I'm not sure what kind of mission this helicopter was on, but it would be rather unusual because the the airspace all around D.C., but particularly near Reagan National, is highly controlled.
Okay, Reed Yaden, our aviation expert. Thank you, Reed, so much for shedding light on the specific type of aircraft we're talking about. Of course, Reed pointing out that Black Hawk helicopter that has been involved in this crash, of course, we see for around here for Thunder over Louisville, so many of our viewers know what we are talking about. To bring you up to date here, we do want to recap. We are on standby for any live news conference coming during this newscast out of Washington. We, of course, will bring it to you from ABC News. The latest tonight, the massive search is underway after an American Airlines, a smaller regional jet flying from Wichita, Kansas to Reagan National, collided with a U.S. Army helicopter tonight. ABC News reporting 60 people on board the American Airlines flight with a 4-person crew. Three crew members on board the Black Hawk helicopter. The flight took off from Wichita, Kansas at 5:22 Central Time. It then flew for 2 hours and 26 minutes before crashing into that helicopter and then into the icy Potomac River at 8:48 p.m. tonight. It was 6 minutes away from landing at Reagan National. Again, we're following this tragedy in Washington, D.C. throughout this newscast. We will bring you any live updates coming right up. Now we want to move on tonight to our top story here in Louisville. Charges dropped against a homeless pregnant woman who was given a citation by Metro Police.
Court date on November the 8th at 9 a.m. at the courthouse at 600 West Jefferson.
That was Louisville Lieutenant Caleb Stewart handing out a ticket to a woman in labor for unlawful camping. This happened last September. Today, the county attorney's office asked the judge to drop those charges. The judge dropping the charges after the county attorney argued that most of the outcome for the case would be the best outcome would be to drop it. But in the process, created an initiative in the courtroom to help people in a similar situation. WHAS11 night team's Clarice Shaley and photojournalist Emma Gefter learned about this new initiative that worked to make a difference today in this very case. Clarice?
Yeah, Doug, it's called the Unlawful Camping Docket, which sees all of the cases in one day. Unhoused advocates I spoke with say this is a way to keep people out of the criminal cycle.
Said you're in labor.
Despite cries for help.
Leaking, I'm leaking water, all of my embryonic fluid.
In labor, Metro Police gave this pregnant woman a ticket for unlawful camping, but also called for EMS to get her to the hospital. The citation made national news. Now, months later, those charges are dropped.
In the totality of the circumstances and all of the evidence, we decided it was the just outcome for that case to be dismissed.
The Jefferson County attorney asking a judge to throw out the case. Done during the first of what's called the Unlawful Camping Docket, coordinating those charged all to be seen on the same day with supportive services coming together.
Our job as prosecutors is to do justice, and that means that if we can help get these folks connected rather than being convicted, then that's just.
It felt like a step in the right direction.
St. John Center outreach coordinators were in the courtroom when the charges were dropped and this new initiative was created. They're working to get help for homeless people getting citations.
There was some diversion, right? They left again with more resources and hopefully we'll be moving closer to plan to housing.
Executive Director Rayshawn Martin applauds the change.
It's really a happy medium, right? The best that we can do right now as the laws have been passed, and it is just our responsibility and our goal to, again, reduce the harm and support the people who may be impacted by those policies.
Those who help the homeless in Louisville are holding out hope more change might come in the form of the pregnant woman's case.
Best precedence is that we don't have to do this unnecessarily, and that our citations, our jails, and prisons are only for those who we just can't help, who show a real danger to themselves and to the people.
According to an LMPD spokesperson, about 69 citations for unlawful camping have been issued since the law was enacted. LMPD has no plans of changing the enforcement of the law. In the studio, Clarice Shaley, WHAS 11 night team on your side. Doug?
Indiana will do whatever we can to help secure our southern border and end this crisis that has brought deadly fentanyl and crime to our streets.
You heard it right there, all new tonight. That's Indiana Governor Republican Mike Braun doubling down on why he's aiding President Donald Trump's efforts to deport illegal residents during his State of the State address to Indiana tonight. Other top priorities the governor addressing were tax cuts, stricter penalties, better pay for teachers, state troopers, and replacing diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. WHAS 11 night teams Jose Alonso and photojournalist Levi Hammer were listening closely on how the new governor wants to lead Hoosiers. And Jose's here right now in the studio with more, breaking down that important speech. Jose?
Doug, of course, as the governor represents Republicans, we also spoke to a Democratic state representative from Clark County and also Floyd County as well, who was there for the State of the State address, while Rep. Wendy Dant-Chesser agrees with Governor Mike Braun's commitment to raising pay for teachers and state police. There were other parts of the speech she didn't agree with, like the handling of immigration within the state.
Indiana will not be a safe haven for illegal immigration.
Governor Mike Braun speaking to the Indiana General Assembly in Wednesday night's State of the State address in Indianapolis. The governor says he's focused on what he calls his freedom and opportunity agenda, while also making bold statements on the fate of violent, undocumented residents.
Unchecked illegal immigration brings serious risks to our communities. In September, an illegal alien stabbed a 14-year-old girl with a butcher knife in a random attack in Lowell.
I don't have a specific incident in southern Indiana where we have either been had a concern of a safety issue with an immigrant, legal or otherwise.
Democratic State Representative Wendy Dant-Chesser of Clark and Floyd counties says her constituents do have workforce and financial concerns on immigration.
Of course, we'd want people who are criminals to not be in our communities, but many of the folks that could be under consideration are working in our factories or in our restaurants.
Braun also advocated for better pay and retention within Indiana State Police and a raise to the minimum salary for public school teachers by $5,000.
And it's going to be a task for me to find how to take cost out of administration, out of buildings that we may not need quite as deluxe as they get built, and put it into the pocketbooks of teachers and instructors.
Dant-Chesser says she stood up after hearing this initiative.
I think that is a very important piece, because we need to make sure that the good teachers that we have stay, and that as an industry, education is attracting good people into the roles of teachers.
The governor also focused on tax cuts and relief, from lowering state income to offering support to seniors, first-time homebuyers, and generations of farmers. But as Braun plans to offer these incentives, it leaves the question on how will the state provide more funds for law enforcement while also funding school and lowering those taxes. I have more details on today's speech on our website. That's WHAS11.com. Reporting in studio, Jose Alonso, WHAS 11 Night Team, on your side.